Welcome to an enlightening journey into the fascinating world of dopamine. In this engaging podcast, Dr. Andrew Huberman unravels the science behind this powerful neurotransmitter, shedding light on its intricate role in shaping our motivation, focus, and satisfaction. Dispelling common myths, Dr. Huberman offers valuable insights, providing a roadmap for leveraging dopamine to achieve sustained energy and heightened motivation. Dopamine's multifaceted influence. Dopamine emerges as a multifunctional neurochemical, not merely associated with pleasure, but also wielding significant influence over motivation, drive, movement, and time perception. The discussion emphasizes the critical role dopamine plays in maintaining a healthy brain function while warning against potential depletions linked to conditions like Parkinson's and Lewy body's dementia. Mechanisms of dopamine release. Delving deeper into the science, the podcast elaborates on how dopamine is released in the brain and body. The distinction between local, synaptic, and broad volumetric pathways is illuminated, with volumetric release analogized as a giant vomit that impacts a vast array of cells. Dopamine's role in goal-oriented behavior. Unpacking the intricacies of dopamine's impact, the podcast underscores its pivotal role in goal-oriented behavior. By stimulating the release of glutamate, an excitatory neurotransmitter, dopamine becomes a driving force in steering motivation, drive, and focus, crucial for tracking pleasure and success. Navigating the pleasure-pain balance. A captivating exploration into the pleasure-pain balance associated with dopamine reveals the nuanced dynamics of seeking pleasurable activities. The podcast explains how the ebb and flow of dopamine levels contribute to post-celebration slumps, offering a profound understanding to manage expectations and emotional responses. Peaks and baseline dynamics of dopamine. The podcast articulates the delicate relationship between the peaks and baseline of the dopamine system. Pursuing activities leading to substantial dopamine spikes may inadvertently result in a subsequent drop in the dopamine baseline, potentially paving the way for addiction and depression. Dr. Huberman stresses the importance of making informed choices to maintain a healthy dopamine level. Intermittent dopamine release for optimal well-being. Building on the positive attributes of dopamine, the podcast advocates for a balanced approach. While acknowledging the benefits of dopamine, it cautions against overindulgence in activities that lead to massive dopamine peaks. The prescription is to engage in activities that release dopamine intermittently, fostering a sustainable and positive neural response. Strategies for controlling dopamine levels. Unlocking the secrets to optimal motivation and focus. The podcast advocates for maintaining an intermittent reinforcement schedule for dopamine release. By doing so, individuals can safeguard against desensitization to dopamine's effects, promoting a healthy and sustainable motivational drive. Caffeine's dual impact on dopamine. Navigating the realm of substances, the podcast explores the dual impact of caffeine on dopamine levels. While highlighting its potential to positively upregulate dopamine receptors, it also underscores the risks associated with combining caffeine with substances like MDMA, Molly. Cold water exposure and natural dopamine enhancement. Venturing beyond traditional methods, the podcast delves into the benefits of cold water exposure as a natural means of increasing dopamine levels. It emphasizes the significance of this approach, providing an alternative to ingesting substances while maintaining control over dopamine for motivation and satisfaction. Effort-centric approach for enjoyable activities. A paradigm shift in perspective is proposed, encouraging individuals to focus on the effort rather than fixate solely on end goals. By associating effort with an internally generated reward system, the podcast suggests making activities more enjoyable and less painful, thereby optimizing the dopamine response. Supplements and dopamine regulation. In the pursuit of enhancing dopamine levels, the podcast navigates the realm of supplements, highlighting popular options like mucuna pruriens and L-tyrosine. Dr. Huberman advises caution, acknowledging their potential benefits, but emphasizing the importance of consulting a healthcare professional before integrating them into one's routine. Social interactions and oxytocin-dopamine connection. Bringing a social dimension into the discussion, the podcast explores how dopamine is released in response to oxytocin during social interactions. This intriguing connection is presented as a potent tool for improving motivation, focus, and satisfaction in the context of human connections. In the conclusion, as we conclude this enlightening podcast journey, Dr. Huberman leaves us with not just a better understanding of dopamine, but also practical insights on how to navigate its intricacies. Armed with this knowledge, listeners are equipped to harness the power of dopamine for a more motivated, focused, and satisfying life. For the full version of the podcast, check out the link below.